Okay, here we go. The first chapter, the fun they had. So before you read, there is some discussion about the chapter. The story we shall read is set in the future when books and schools as we now know them will perhaps not exist. So why does the author says that may not exist? Because nowadays we are just using technology for everything in our life. For education also, new devices, new apps are developed, new way of teaching, virtual classes, this all have been started. So the time may come when there won't be a school like this we are coming nowadays in one building, all student and teacher and other teaching staffs. So maybe you'll be living, you'll remaining at home, and the teacher will be sitting somewhere else, or maybe you may have a robot as a teacher and the robot will be teaching you. You will buy the teacher and you will learn. Means the generation come may experience this type of school later on. So that's why I say that the schools as we now know, the books and the schools as we know them will perhaps not exist. So next question comes, how will children study then? The same way as I've told you, using virtual class, buying a robot teacher, okay, something like that. And here is one picture showing here how the school can be in the future. So it could be through learning, through computer, maybe virtual classes. You already know about the virtual classes. Moving e-text means you may have a PDF and you're just scrolling down the PDF, and this robotic teacher, the teacher that will have, and teacher will teach you. Okay, now as moving to the content of the story, starting from here. So Margie is one of the characters. Even wrote about it that night in her diary. Okay, so the story begins with an activity that one of the characters does there. So there is no introduction of the characters here. All of a sudden the story begins that Margie had made a note of something there. She had wrote something there. Where in the diary? On the page headed means there was a heading on the page of a diary. And what was that heading? That was the date, 17 May 2157. I just want to draw your attention here, 2157. Right now we are 2020. So you could imagine when 2157 will come, even more than 100 years later on. Now you can imagine in 2157 what could be the word, how the school, definitely the school will be different from the school that we have now. So that's why it is said that the story take place in the future. Generally the story that you learn, they are in the past, but this story is in a future, means more than 100 years in advance. Okay, so she wrote what did she write in her diary? So that is the entry of the diary. Today Tommy found a real book. Tommy found a real book. Real book. What is this real book? So if we are imagining that in the century after, if we are using technology for teaching and learning, so that will be only the gadgets, that will be only the software used for this sake of things. So there won't be any physical book. There won't be any physical book or the book that you have right now. So these books are, they would call a real book, I mean the physical book, the books that are made up of papers. So what she wrote in her diary, that today Tommy found a real book. Tommy is another main character here. Margie and Tommy, these are the two main characters. Okay, so she had made a note of this. She had written something about this. Okay, so next, it was very old book. Very old book. Okay, century back. So Margie grandfather once said that when he was a little boy, his grandfather told him that there was a time when all stories were printed on the paper. Now Tommy's grandfather had once mentioned that there was a time, if we talk about 2157, so in the past there was a time when the story was written in the or printed on the paper. As we know, we experiencing this. Okay, so this, just imagine that in the future it was very surprising thing for them that there was a book of papers and on that the story was written. So now they turn the pages. They turn the pages as we do. We are very familiar with this, which were yellow and crinky. Means when they was reading the book they found, the real book that they found. Now they are going through the books, and it is mentioned that the book were having yellow and crinkly pages. Okay, crinkly. What is crinkly means? Crinkly means full of wrinkles or folded pages. Okay, as you could see in the old book, the pages are yellow and they are wrinkled. So the same was there, and it were awfully funny. Awfully means very, very greatly. It was very funny to read the words that stood still instead of moving the way they were supposed to. What does this means? They were very excited to see that the words were still there. Now there are two situations when you are reading on the screen. Let's say you are reading some ebooks or PDF file. So you keep on moving. The screen remains there. The words keep on moving. You keep on scrolling them. So words are not there anymore on the screen. They keeps on moving. But when you talk about the real book or the book of papers, so words are there, words are not moving, we are just turning over the pages. So that's why they were surprised to see that this the words are not moving as they supposed to be in case of let's say some tablet or some sort of a screen. So that's why they are supposed, because they were habitual of reading on the screen. Okay, so that's why they were very surprised. Okay, means now next, the same. They were supposed to move on the screen, so that's why they were surprised. Now next, and then when they turn back to the page before, it had the same words on it that it had when they read it first. Same thing is there. Turning over page forward and backward, you will find the same words are there on the same page. The words are not moving anywhere. Words are there, and it is different as in case of reading things on the screen. So this here in this paragraph, the author has given two situations, and it has compared the two situations, that reading a physical book made up of paper and reading a text on any screen is a different, because these students Margie and Tommy never saw the physical book, the books of paper. So that's why they were surprised that the text were always there on the page. The text were not moving, rather one has to turn the pages. Next paragraph is ghee. He said ghee. Ghee means it's a word used to express some surprise. Ghee. Okay. So say Tommy, or the word that you use to express something that is unpleasant or that is you are not happy with. So say Tommy, what a waste. So he didn't like this way. He didn't like reading the book this way, or even he didn't like this book. And his term is as a waste. Mean these books are as a waste. Why? Because he say when you through with the books, when you are through with the book, you just throw it away. When you are through with the books, what does this means? Through with the books mean when you have gone through the book, when you have read the book, when you have finished the book, then what is the use of that book? Suppose you bought a storybook from the market and now you have just read the story, you have gone through the story, so you're not going to, going through it time and again. So it becomes useless for you. So that is why saying it's a waste when you are through with the book, you will throw it away. Means it is of no use to you, you may throw it. Okay. The next is say, I guess. Means it is his guess that it would be a waste. Next, our television screen must have had a million books on it, and it's a good for plenty more. Now he's comparing this book with his television screen, or the screen on which he they used to read the book. Okay, so he says that if it's a screen, maybe a laptop, maybe a tablet, maybe a other form of screen, so millions of the books can be accommodated in it. If you talk about the laptop, if you talk about the tablets, you can have hundreds of books in that, or even millions of the books can be stored in that and can be read. So that's why he's saying that that way is good. Okay, and it's a good for plenty more, means even more than millions also can be stored in it. So they are just going through the stages, they are just trying to find out the pros and cons of the old pattern of the books and what is the advantages of a new pattern of screen that are having books. So next he say, I wouldn't throw it away. Means I won't throw my screen away. Wouldn't it? This it is for screen. Why the screen? For example, if you bought a tablet, so you won't throw that tablet away. If you are finished with all the book, the probably you are going to load new books into that, but you are not going to throw the screen away. So that's why it's I wouldn't throw it away. Means screen will not be thrown away. Next is a response of Margie. She says same with mine. Mean my screen, that is he mentioned a television screen. So that screen also has millions of the book, said Margie. She was alive one and hadn't seen as many telebooks as Tommy had. Now, a little bit more introduction or little bit some description about these two characters have been given here. Margie was 11 years old and she hadn't seen as many telebooks as Tommy had because Tommy is elder than Margie. Tommy is 13 years old. Tommy is 13 years old, and that's why she hadn't seen as many telebooks. Telebooks, you could say, the books that could be read on the screen. So telebooks. So because Tommy is elder and Margie is younger, so Tommy seems to be more experienced and seems to be have learned more book than Margie. Okay. So she said, what did you find it? Because Tommy is reading the book. Now the Margie is asking him that what did he find in it? Now, where did you find it? So she said, where did you find it? So he replied, in my house. He pointed without looking because he was busy reading. So he didn't pay any attention towards Margie because he was reading. So without pointing, he answered that he found it in his house in the attic. In the attic. What is this attic? This is attic. This attic is a storeroom that is just below the store that you call attic. It's a store only. You could see. Okay. So what is it about? Next question by Margie to Tommy, that what is it about? What the book is about? And he replied that the book is about a school. School. So something is written about the school in that book. Margie was scornful. Scornful again when you are not happy, you are some frowned, you are a little bit upset or not uh, very pleasant. Okay. School. This word she didn't like school. So many of you also don't like this word. What is there to write about the school? I mean, school is just something that nothing should be written about the school because if one is not lacking the school, so no, one won't like to be written about the school. Now, this is a school. So, do you think that this school is the same they are talking about? No, their school is different because they are living hundreds years in advance, okay, in the future. So, what is there about the schools? I hate school. So, here she confessed that she didn't like her school, and this school will describe later on in the chapter what kind of school they had. Okay, so Margie always hated school, but now she hated it more than ever. More than ever means she hated the school the most. The mechanical teacher. Now this is a teacher, mechanical teacher. This is not the teacher as you have a teacher nowadays. Human teacher. Talking about the mechanical teacher, it may be a robot, it may be some other type of machine. Okay. So the mechanical teacher had been giving her test after test in geography, and she had been doing worse and worse until her mother had shaken her head sorrowfully and sent for the county inspector. So something wrong with Margie learning through her mechanical teacher. The mechanical teacher, the device or the robot, used to give her test in geography. Test after test means many tests were given her, and she had been doing worse and worse. She was not doing good in her tests. And then until her mother had shaken her head sorrowfully, means the mother was disappointed. Okay, and very sorrowfully she shaken her head, and then sent me to call someone by sending a messenger. So she sent for the county inspector. This county inspector is someone who comes and repair the teacher. Isn't sounding very strange because the teacher is a device, teacher is a machine, and that's why I said this county inspector, the duty of county inspector is to come and repair or to see the mechanical teacher if there is any problem. And she wanted to know, the mother wanted to know that why Margie was not doing good or she was not doing well in her studies in geography, especially geography. Okay, then he was round little man. Who he? This county inspector. He was a round, means maybe fat person, a little man. Okay, with red face and a whole box of tools with dials and wires. Okay, so these are the instrument that he brought with him. The whole box. There he was carrying some wires. He was carrying some dials. Dials mean to measure something. Okay. So he smiled at Margie. He smiled at the Margie and gave her an apple. Then took the teacher apart. Took the teacher apart. That mechanical teacher. Okay. So you could see the good. The county inspector seems to be good because he has given an apple to Margie. Okay. So the teacher was taken apart. Margie had hoped he wouldn't know how to put it together again. This is the imagination, or that you forcefully want to imagine. So what Margie was hoping that the county teacher will not be able to assemble the that mechanical teacher again. Why she was hoping? As his earlier says that she hated school. So if the mechanical teacher is not working, or if the mechanical teacher is not assembled again or not rectified by the county inspector, so there would be no one to teach her and she will enjoy her time. That's why she was hoping that she wouldn't know how to put it together again, how to assemble it. But he knew how, all right. And after an hour or so, there is it again. But the county inspector was a very expert person. He knew how to make it right, and in 1 hour only or so, he has assembled it. He had rectified it, and this was a very disappointing moment for Margie. Okay, so it is said that large and black, ugly, large and black and ugly. These are the descriptive word. So this mechanical teacher who have already learned that it is a machine or maybe a robot, and it looks very large. Its color is black. It's ugly. So she didn't like. Okay, because machine is machine, and with a big screen on which all the lessons were shown. And what more description is there? That there was a big screen on this mechanical teacher where all the lessons were shown. Margie used to read those lessons from that screen, and not only that, the questions were asked, and questions were also asked on that screen that Margie had to answer those questions, and that wasn't so bad. So it was not that bad, that's reading and watching the questions. Okay, so that was not so bad. So what was so bad? The part she hated, the part she hated most was the slot where she had to put homework. So you also experience sometime the teacher asks you for homework. You also get annoyed. Why the teacher is asking for the homework? Why we don't be left free? That happens sometimes, you know. So that's why that was the worst part. Margie didn't like that slot. What is the slot? Slot means you can say some entry point. Okay, like when you get when you go to the ATM and you put your ATM card in some slot, that is the slot. Okay, so in that slot the homework and the test paper what to be put means once she had done with her homework and the test paper, those paper are to be put on that slot. Okay, and she always had to write them out in a punch code. So this, whenever she write her homework, whenever she used to write her test paper, it was not writing with the pen or pencil, but it was used in a punch code. Punch code is again something like a binary code. You can say you have to make some, or you can say the OMR sheet where you have to make some round circle so that the computer can read easily. So the punch code is the same way. Either you have to make up some pattern of the hole on the paper, or you have to make some dark, you know, circles over there. So that was the way to write it. And they made her learn when she was 6 year old. They made her learn when she was 6 years. When she was 6 year old, they made her learn how to write the homework and resolve. And the mechanical teacher calculated the marks in no time. So her homework or her test were assessed by the mechanical teacher in a fraction of the time. Okay, very soon because it's a computer. So now that's the inspector had smiled after he was finished and patted Marcy's head. So it was not good for Marzi that inspector had assembled or the inspector had rectified the teacher in 1 hour only. She wanted that it shouldn't be assembled very quickly. Okay, and here the inspector smiled and patted her. Patted means thumping something. Okay, so giving a gentle touch on the head on the back. Sometime when you do some nice job, so your elders used to praise you by patting on your back. So he said to her mother, it is not the little girl's fault. Which fault is talking about? That she was not doing good in her geography test. And here the inspector declares that not doing good in her geography test is not her fault. Okay, addressing to Mrs. Jones, that is mother of Mazi, and then what reason he had given about not doing good in her examination. I think the geography sector was geared a little too quick. So geographic sector means there would be many sector for the different subject. Let's say one sector for the mathematics, one sector for the English, one sector for as you are learning through the Google Classroom app. So there would be many classes. One class for your English, one class for your geography, one class for the maths. So if your teacher asks you to come on those classes, you can join them. So similar way on that also the different sector, geography sector. So it was geared a little too quick. Geared. What does geared means? Geared means to set something to work at a certain speed. Okay. So that we call gearing. At particular speed, one machine has to work. Let's say fan. So with the help of regulator, we set the speed of the fan at the different level. Okay, when it's very hot, we want the fan to run at the full speed. When it is a little bit colder than, or it's a normal temperature, that time we want the fan to be run at a slower speed. That is a gearing. Okay, so that geography sector was set a little quick. Little quick means maybe it's asking question quickly, or maybe it's a set for the little bit higher level, maybe for the senior classes. Okay, and that was the reason why she was not doing good in her geography test. Those things happen sometimes. He says that these are the general thing and it keeps on happening, means setting the sector in the different gears. Now next he say I have slowed it up to the on average 10 years level. Mean now the computer or the mechanical teacher has been set to the lower level gear, average of 10 years. Okay, so that is the age of March 11 years. So actually, the overall pattern of her progress is quite satisfactory, and he also declared that the progress of Margie is satisfactory. And whatever the problem was there in a geography subject, this was because of the mechanical teacher and not it was the fault of Margie. That is a good thing for the Margie. Okay. And he patted Margie head again. Okay. So this now we're moving further. Margie was disappointed. Why? Why was she disappointed? Even when he said that Margie was her progress was satisfactory, then also she was disappointed. Why? The reason is given here. She had been hoping they would take the teacher away together. She was hoping that the county inspector would have taken the teacher along with him and would have come days after days, but it didn't happen so. He had rectified the mechanical teacher there only, okay, and that's why she was disappointed. So why she wouldn't be happy if the teacher would be given would be taken by the county inspector, because she would be free to play. She won't go to her school and learn lesson and this. Okay, so they had once taken Tommy teacher away for nearly a month. Talking about this, she had an experience that Tommy teacher would also once went wrong, and the county inspector took the teacher along with him. Okay, because the history sector had blanked out completely. Blanked out completely means there was nothing displayed on the screen. So this was the problem once that appeared in the mechanical teacher of Tommy's. So, so she said, Tommy, what would anyone write about the school? Okay, now coming back, this was given little bit account of their teacher and the way they used to learn, the way they used to submit their homework and assignment. Now coming back to the same book that they were reading, the real book, the book of the paper, and that was it. We have already come to know that the book is written about the school, and that's why she is asking question, why would anyone write about school? Why someone has to write about the school? Why she's asking this? Because she didn't like school, and she didn't find anything interesting that someone has to write about the school. That's why time and again she is asking the same question. Okay, so Tommy looked at her with very superior eyes. Superior eyes means showing a superior complex, or showing that he is a superior one, because he is 13 years old, and that's why he's considered himself a senior or a superior. That's why he looked at her with very superior eyes, and he answered, because it is not our kind of school. Now he declared here that the school that is written about in that book is not the same kind of school that they used to go, or that they used to learn in. So now initially it was declared, it was differentiated between the book of March and Tommy and the previous generation book, old books, and here is the school. The school was also were also different. Okay, so he used this word also. So this is the old kind of school that they had hundreds and hundreds of years ago. So in that book, the school that is described there is the old school that was hundreds and hundreds years ago. Means that when they are talking about 2157. So hundreds years ago means this century, or maybe 19th century, 20th century, 19th century, okay, or maybe 21st century. 2157 is the 22nd century. Okay, so we have this type of school only. Okay, he added loftily. Loftily means when you are a little bit means showing that you are a little bit superior. Okay, you are a little bit junior, or you know more than the other person. Okay, pronouncing the word carefully, centuries ago. This is important word here. Centuries ago. Okay. So Margie was hurt. Well, I don't know what kind of school they had all that time ago. So Margie had no idea what kind of school is described in the book or the people century years ago had, because their school, I have mentioned time and again that their schools were different from a school in the 19th and 20th and 21st centuries. Okay, so she read the book over his shoulder for a while, then said, anyway, they had a teacher. So over her shoulder means just looking from behind of her, behind of his shoulder on the book, because Tommy is already reading the book, and she also started peeping, or she had also started looking at the book from behind of her shoulder, and then she made a remark that at least they had a teacher. I mean, at least they also have a teacher, because she might have seen the teacher word there, and that's why she remarked that anyway they had a teacher. Means we, Margie and Tommy also had teacher, and the people century years ago also had teacher, but it is not clear so far to Margie that what kind of teacher they had. That we will learn next. For today, it's over. Thank you very much.